the smoothness and the precision of that BMW Boxer engine, I'll never forget it. I may own another one at some point, who knows. I really wish that BMW made a smaller Boxer like they used to. These are 3 reasons that I think you should consider if you're planning to buy a sport touring bike, or you're thinking about which bike to buy for moto camping. Hi, my name's Peter. I like motorcycles and motorcycle camping. I'm out here riding my Royal Enfield Himalayan 450, which is now the only bike that I own. And I'm going to explain to you why I sold my BMW. So first, let's clarify, my BMW was not an adventure bike. I did not have the GS, the R1200RS, which is a sport touring bike. And I did some fabulous trips on that bike. My most recent trip was to Glacier National Park last September. And I did a trip down to Utah a year ago in September. And I did a trip to Colorado the July before that. So I've had that bike for 3 years, or I had that bike for 3 years. And I really loved it. And I tell you, I had a lot of mixed feelings about selling it. So I really want to do a video to explain why I made that decision. Oh, lots of debris on the road here. The first reason that I sold the bike, and I really experienced this on my last trip, is relevant to those of us who are getting on in years. I know a lot of my viewers are around the same age as me, and our bodies don't perform the way they used to. And when I bought the bike, my fear was the riding position would be too far canted forward for me. So I put in bar risers, and I found that I never had a problem with my back or my wrists. Where I had a problem was with my knees, because my knees were tucked up. The rider's triangle on that bike is kind of narrow. You're not sitting upright like you are in an adventure bike. You're sitting much more, I don't know what the word is, but it's a little more squished. I'd have to say that the rider's triangle is a little more squished, and so I found that after just an hour of riding, my knees would start to get sore. And now I could have done a few things about that, like just like I put in the bar risers, I could have put in a taller seat. That would have raised me up a little bit, and I could have put lower foot pegs in. So both of those things could have helped a little bit, but there's another factor that wasn't going to be resolved by that. And I'll get to that as I move along. So, you know, I was sitting there, I bought this Royal Enfield, and the Royal Enfield has something to do with my decision, because this bike is so practical in all situations that I just wasn't riding the BMW very much. So that brings me to the second factor, which is the cost of ownership. And it didn't cost me that much to run the bike, but the insurance is quite high for a bike that's 1200 cc's. In fact, it cost me more to insure that bike than to insure my car. You know, I was only insuring it for 8 months of the year, but then I got a bike sitting around for 4 months of the year, depreciating, but not being used. So that's a bit of a dilemma. So it felt like a bit of a waste, a lot of money tied up in that bike that I wasn't using very much. My third factor that led me to think that I would make a choice to sell that bike has to do with my love of moto camping. And even though I put out a video saying you could go and do moto camping on a sport tour, and for sure I did a lot of stuff like that. I rode to Utah on it, and I attempted the Moki Dugway, and I probably could have succeeded. I just lost my nerve. Turns out I was pretty close to the top at the point where I turned back. And somebody else did it, mentioned that on a comment on my channel. Another guy had ridden up Moki Dugway, or ridden down it on a BMW. So it can be done. On my last trip, and I did some camping, and some of the camping was very close to the road, so you could have just, you know, it was 100 yards to get off the road, get to the campsite. But I did go on one that was a couple of kilometers down a logging road, and that's a factor. And I've done that before, where I've gone 20 or more kilometers to get to the camping site, and sometimes they can be kind of rough. So it was not just the tires, but also the suspension on rougher roads was really inadequate. So it's not designed for that, right? So when you're pushing a bike past what it was designed for, you're going to find its limitations. So there's 3 reasons why I sold that bike. So, you know, and I hope the new owner enjoys it as much as I did. And for those who are following me because I have an R1200RS, well, I'm sorry. I hope you don't stop following me, but you're going to do what you got to do. I'll be putting out more content on the Royal Enfield Himalayan. You know, it's late November now. I'm still riding. I'd like to actually get another camping trip in this year. Just to see what it's like. Just to explore, have some fun.